Light a candle, lay flowers on the door for those who were left behind and those who gone before. And now you realize why I posted that Duran Duran song on my Facebook story, yeah? For those of you who have been following me on Facebook. So, yeah, this movie, oh my goodness, I can't contain my excitement for this movie I'm about to review. The Saint from 1997, which personally for me is my number one favorite Val Kilmer movie ever. And I will stand behind my opinion by shouting out this film as Val's best acting work in his entire career. Don't even try arguing with me on that point. Don't try throwing Batman at me. Don't try throwing Iceman from Top Gun at me. This is Val Kilmer's crowning achievement. And with regards to that Duran Duran song, Out of My Mind, that I was just singing a little bit of, which is used as the end credits song for that film, I decided I wanted to dress up with a little 80s new romantic look with this shirt on. And I think I can still pick up some faint traces of my Bath and Body Works fresh water body spray, maybe even a little Maison Louis Marie on here. But I figured, yeah, this is like this is definitely the perfect attire to wear for this type of review. So, okay, this heart-throbbing, breathtaking, romantic spy thriller based on the original TV series starring 007's own Roger Moore, who actually has a cameo in this film that you would never expect, especially after you watch the film once through. Boy, 1997 was a perfect year for movies, especially for the 11-year-old me, and any other millennial out there can definitely stand behind me on this. You know, we had The Fifth Element, The Jackal, Contact, Gattaca, the first Men in Black movie, 7 Years in Tibet. It was definitely a golden year for movies until 2006 would top it. And amongst the diverse list of cinematic hits from 97, there was The Saint, a movie that is always comforting for me to watch every time I come back to it again and again. I first picked up the DVD for myself in 2018, but I had the VHS with me since I was a kid, since I first saw that movie in the theaters. And my sister actually still loves that movie to this day, and she's got great taste in that movie for a reason. It's soul food to me watching this film. And again, especially with that Duran Duran song, which I had posted on my Facebook story as a teaser for this review, which is played during the end credits over that beautiful, lush English countryside as the camera pulls away from the city of Oxford. It's just so mood invoking that it's sensory memory, the sensory memory of recalling that entire closing scene has stayed with me and aged well like a fine wine. So now, director Philip Noyce's style is spot on with this film, as he still has the same flair for making spy thrillers look so dreamlike, and while carrying an air of fascination to them. Now, he's also directed the two Harrison Ford Jack Ryan movies, Patriot Games and Clear and Present Danger. So it's easy to see why I love The Saint so much. That Australian touch is very naturalistic and organic and sensual, like Peter Weir. Yeah, there is just something so sweet about this film that blends in with the spy thriller formula. It's kind of like, Mission Impossible, the Tom Cruise movie Mission Impossible, if Ethan Hunt was more elusive and enigmatic, a riddle at the heart of the Sphinx, which is exactly what Simon Templar is, the main character that Val Kilmer plays. And the way that Elizabeth Shue's Dr. Emma Russell is trying to pull all the many layers of masks that this magician like saint wears. You know, he's called the saint because of the many different Catholic saints whose names he uses as different monikers for Simon Templar. And even Simon Templar is a name that he gives himself. In the opening scenes of the film, you see him at this Catholic orphanage as a kid, reading a book on the Knights Templar, but keeping it hidden under his Bible during class. The parishioner calls him John Rossi, which we assume has got to be his birth name, but his origins are still very, very obscure. There's a gray area there. He's definitely an enigma to the nth degree. And he adopts the Simon Templar name because he considers himself to be a magus. Like the tarot card. This great magician who is a trickster, like Loki. And I'm not referring entirely to the Marvel graphic novel. I'm referring to the I'm sorry, comic book. I'm referring to the actual Norse mythological character Loki. He, just like Simon Templar here, was someone who was able to be a very generous sort of villain, like an amoral sort, who just happens to know the secrets that are hidden behind the scenes in every institution and, shares certain truths that are obviously unpopular, but regardless, um, they force people to face up to things, certain shadows or skeletons in the closet that they have otherwise stashed away for so long. And young Simon Templar is traumatized at one point when he loses the love of his life. This girl that he falls in love with, I'm actually going to look up her name because I forgot to put it in for this review. But um, there's a fellow student that um, Agnes, yeah, Agnes, that they both develop like this childhood love for each other. And just as Simon is working on a plan with some other classmates to break her and other students out of the orphanage, and believe me, this orphanage is a prison of sorts. Agnes is about to give Simon a kiss, but then one of the nuns comes along with this brigade of guard dogs, and unfortunately, the poor girl falls off the railing down to her death, like maybe 3 stories down, and it haunts Simon to this day. Which is, of course, why this shroud of mystery and many other shrouds of mystery based on the different masks, the different faces that Simon takes on later on in his adult years is what sparks a romance between him and Dr. Emma Russell. And I feel that the plot thread about her, about her studies on cold fusion and her driven passion to make it a reality runs parallel with their romance. They are two idealists who believe in miracles. You have Simon on the one hand, who's more philosophical, knows about political power play dynamics, while Emma is the scientist who believes that free energy is something everyone, I mean everyone, deserves to have. Kind of a new age-ish, a new age idea where it basically takes a lot of shit from the mainstream, but not to Emma and her followers. I mean, it's like cold fusion is a metaphor for the chemistry that occurs between two lovers. And I'm willing to believe that cold fusion is the invisible dialogue going on whenever the subject is brought up. It, even if I don't entirely understand the hard science of it, I can understand the poetic expression of it as reflected in the ideals of the two leads. Now, like, check out the scene where Emma is in the bathroom talking to herself in the mirror between sex scenes with Simon. And at this point in the story, Simon calls himself Thomas More. That's the saint at that particular moment that appeals to Emma based on her personality as he's figuring her out. She's saying to herself, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe this is really happening," while, moving her hands sensually through her hair, as if dwelling in the mystery of the man who she's with at the moment. It's like two atoms curiously exploring each other's orbit, feeding off the light particles that each give off to each other. Okay, so going off on a slight tangent here, but it is related to the movie. It came to my attention recently while doing background research for this film that there was a 1990 movie which I had actually seen on television. Oh my gosh, a long, long time ago. It's called Bullseye, and it also stars Roger Moore in it. And the subject of the film is da da cold fusion, except that Michael Caine is the scientist trying to prove it's real and not a theory. So basically, Elizabeth Shue is the 1997 sex symbol version of Caine's character in the 1990 film, which I found to be rather interesting. Then there is this book called Undead Science, written by Bart Simon in 2002, who says that the saint may have affected the public perception of cold fusion by pushing it further into the realm of science fiction. And I'm actually considering to make a separate video where I'm analyzing the science of cold fusion as it's discussed in The Saint. But I will save that for a future date, as I obviously want to keep on track with this current review by focusing mainly on my personal feelings and the history with this film. So, yeah, getting back to the film's narrative as it unfolds. So both Simon and Emma become the objects of interest in a political power game with Ivan Tretiak and his Russian mob who have power over the country. And they show it rather explicitly by switching off the gas and electricity to the Russian citizens, where most actually have to salvage the elevators wood in order to make fire, the wood from the elevators. Oh boy. And then, so there's Tretiak himself and the actor, who, Rade Srbija. He's a Croatian actor who honestly has always been a fun actor to watch growing up. You know, Seeing him in Mission Impossible 2, um, or even seen him in Christopher Nolan's Batman Begins. He has that cameo role as the homeless guy that Bruce Wayne gives his coat to. Ooh, this is a nice coat. While looking all swollen with humble pride. Yeah, and then just recently I saw him in Snatch, that Guy Ritchie movie from 2000. He was fun in that movie too. Um, yeah, so Ivan's son Ilya is also a great character to watch as well. He's played by the real-life dancer Valery Nikolaev, who seems to be Simon's evil doppelganger in that he's got very sharp senses of perception. He always seems to be aware of the saint's presence, as if he were a tracker who's able to see, hear, and feel him like he were an animal that is meant to be caught and killed. And keep in mind that um, Simon Templar's trademark in this film is that he wears many different disguises. And at one point even dresses up as Ivan Tretiak himself, which is quite a surprise, and Tretiak actually picks up on it right away. Um, but Simon always manages to foil his plans, though, and his father's. And I mean, look at the fact that Ilya ends up getting his face burned at one point. Um, Twice over, when he tried to capture Simon, um, there is always an explosion that Simon would set off. The first time it just blinded him, but the second time it actually burned half his face. You know, so definitely it's definitely a lot of fun to watch the villains in this movie just as much as it's fun to watch the heroes and um the lovers in the story. So that's why I like the blending of character elements in this film is just so delicious. And then there's the soundtrack, which, has always become a favorite for electronic music DJs and remixers all over the world, myself included. Well, of course, Graham Revell's music, as usual, has is always very gorgeous to listen to as well. Every movie I've seen where Revell's music is used is always going to be something special. However, that soundtrack, the soundtrack for The Saint, is a special love letter to me. Like, I love hearing the Chemical Brothers song Setting Sun from Dig Your Own Hole. It's an instrumental version of that song. Dread Zones, A Dream Within a Dream. Oh my gosh. That's such a beautiful song. It's like even hours and days after hearing that song, it's like I can still hear it inside my brain. That's how gorgeous the ambient synth pads in that song are. Orbital is also in here, and they do a really nice ambient techno remix of the TV theme for The Saint from the 60s. And then there's a Moby song called Oil One, which sadly is usually the case with soundtracks. It doesn't appear in the film, which kind of sucks because I always love me some Moby. However, the most notable song, of course, is Sneaker Pimps and their song Six Underground. Oh boy. Yeah, this song has been used to death. And I don't think any other Sneaker Pimp song has ever been used in a movie. I think this is the only song that they've been known for. Just look at the Wikipedia entry section on usage in media, and you'll find that it's been used in the video game Grand Theft Auto 5. Looks like I'm going to have to start getting more video games. I did, however, happen to enjoy its usage in the 1998 teen movie Can't Hardly Wait, as a song to introduce Jennifer Love Hewitt's character, Amanda Beckett. And apparently, the music video for Six Underground featured a young Laura Prepon pre that 70s show. Boy, I got to go back and watch that music video again now, too. So Yeah, that's all my review on this lost gem from 1997, and I really sincerely hope that you will check out this movie. Please check out this movie soon. Don't let your mind get distracted by any other Val Kilmer movies that you may be wanting to watch at the moment. Although, I mean, Red Planet and Wonderland are also great films I'd recommend. But The Saint is definitely the quintessential Val Kilmer movie. Watch that movie soon. Alrighty, yeah, so integrating real perspective, signing off. And shout out to Mega Media XChange for their help and support in making this channel happen. Honestly, the Brookfield location has got CDs and DVDs for as less as 74 cents. You honestly can't go wrong with this place. I remember when they were first CD Max, all the way back at the beginning of 2005, or I mean back in 2005, when I was living in Shorewood at the time and attending college. So there's also a location in Franklin, I believe, too. And I'm not sure if there's still one down in Milwaukee, the downtown area, but for all Wisconsinites was watching this video, definitely check out Mega Media XChange. I've been a customer with them for almost 20 years now. Well, both CD Max and Mega Media. So thanks, guys. I appreciate it. And yeah, see you next time on the flip side of the reel.